my dad used to do wedding photography. So we have this space in the front of our barn, like this old studio that was just full of, like storage and his old negatives and stuff. So I just cleaned her out totally, put some couches in there, got some lights. Just, it looks like a man cave, but the goal is, like your office is your office in your podcast studio. Like it's a man cave / podcast studio. And I love talking to people, and I love asking questions that are off the, not off the wall, but just not your normal type stuff. And I'm not too afraid of screwing up or asking a silly question, because how do you learn anything besides?
Right.
So yeah, I want to start this podcast before the new year. I'm thinking something called Soul Finder or Soul Discovery, or something just about one-on-one convos with people about the stuff they're into. No, like a fitness category, like a videography or like a health, nutrition thing. Just with you and I, we talk about insurance. People would fall asleep.
Oh gosh,
and
yeah.
we'd say, cool.
If it's launched already, we're going to have a link
Heck
right
yeah.
there for
Perfect.
the downloads.
Now
Go
you got a
and
deadline
listen to it.
together.
So that's kind of what we did. That's how we got started.
Yeah.
I said, Mark, get in here. We're going to film a promo. And said, hey, it's coming.
Right.
And then it just followed through.
Yeah.
And
So,
it
well, what
did
if
it.
it's not very good? Well,
Probably won't be.
probably won't be.
Still isn't after 90 episodes.
This is the Buffalo Community Podcast, all about the greatest small town in the USA, the people in it, and how it all works together. Here are your hosts, Tyler Reese and Mark Benzer.
Another episode, another fun guest we have with us, 2012 Buffalo High School graduate, and I think what should be a pretty fun conversation with Joel Gilmer's brother, ladies and gentlemen.
Howdy.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
No other introduction than that.
That's enough. We'll go from there.
I'm just kidding. His name's Dom.
Yep.
Joel Gilmer's brother has a name. His name is Dom Gilmer, and we're excited that he's going to join us today and tell us a little bit about some of the stuff he's got going on. So
Yeah. Well, yeah. Thanks again for having me. So I'm real hot on health and wellness right now. Started doing personal training last spring when things were still pretty slow, but I was fortunate enough to get just a couple of really nice, clients over at the gym at Fitness Evolution in Buffalo. Great spot to find your health again. But yeah, so I've got hot on fitness this spring, and I've had a couple of really cool clients. It just helped me grow and develop my skill set. Obviously when you first start something, you'd love to have, a full schedule of people, 30. I don't know what a good number of clients would be for a trainer. I mean, maybe 30 or 40 or 20, but just a good chunk. But, my path was just a couple, but it's really funny. You really only need one person. If you want to practice a new skill, of course you'd love to meet them, 5 times a week and really get those reps in. But just having these 2 people that I've been training over the last 6 months has been such a cool experience for just when you teach something, you learn it better. So just to be able to, and when you find, I'm just used to my elite body as an athlete. No, I'm just used to training myself. Yeah. I'm used to, doing my own, workouts and thinking about how things affect my body. So it's just to be able to start working with, a male in his 60s who likes to ride bike all summer, go on long bike trips. So how can we work on, everyone's trying to work on flexibility and, being able to work out as long as they can and feeling the best they can and be able to do the sport they love. So one of my clients who's a big biker, it's just been really cool, formulating these exercises for his goals of biking. So we're trying to do things, not to get in the nitty-gritty, but just let's get your hamstrings strong, let's keep your core strong, let's make sure, you have enough, you're doing some weightlifting to counteract all the cardio you might be doing. So yeah, it's just been a blast working one-on-one with people and then just trying out new things and then realizing that's how many things you just kind of try with a little bit of, with education behind implementing, but you never know what's going to work well or it's just so fun too. My other client, she'll come in and, I can tell by her face that she's a little bit tired or off or not having the best day. And then not it's my challenge to just get her to laugh, but it's just so fun to make people laugh and they forget they're having a fun workout and being a personal trainer. Gotcha. But yeah, so it's just been a blast. Like I said, I only have a few clients right now at the gym over in Buffalo, but it's just been a blast trying to help them with their fitness journey. And then, with just to touch on trying things that you don't know are going to work. Like I always thought like standard workout with a client or by yourself, you go, you walk in the treadmill for 5 minutes and then you do, an hour of working out, you go in the sauna or something like that, which is a great workout. But I started just bringing my volleyball with me too. I realize I'm not even looking at either of you guys. I'm just looking at
That's okay. You're doing great.
Yeah. So it's just a blast to try new things with people with their workouts. And the example I was using was my client would come in, maybe not be in a great mood. We'd go into the racquetball court. So like when we first started working out, like I'm trying to stay like to the book exactly like how I think a trainer should train someone without like making it my own yet. Because I feel like you have to start from like someone else's maybe starting block, and then you can mold your own kind of clay thing. Great analogy, thanks. But just playing volleyball with her to start the workout, like I would have, I never would have thought like, oh, we can just go bump the volleyball around for 10 minutes and get kind of sweaty and then work out, and just to see like the person's face change from, still not having a great time as we start the workout on the treadmill to let's go right into the racquetball court and like bump the volleyball around and just start laughing. And I'm kind of like a 10-year-old, 28-year-old, so I like to just jump around and dive around, and it's just fun to try to get some giggles going.
So cartoon bubble, you're warming up with this volleyball, you're bumping, and you're very, So what went in my head when you said grab that volleyball, let's get warmed up, she's kind of in a bad mood, bump it, but then you just spike it. It's not, it's like completely off the wall.
Her face needs to get warmed up too, so I can hit her right in the face.
Yeah. Working out's not so bad now, is it?
Right.
Yeah.
Versus playing volleyball with me.
So you wear your personal trainer hat, and working with people at Gold's Gym.
A fitness evolution. Mark hasn't been to the gym since Gold's Gym was in town.
Right.
How could you get that wrong? No offense.
Sorry.
No offense.
Lifetime fitness for me.
Yeah.
You also, have other interests and kind of a world traveler a little bit and spent some time out in Colorado.
Yeah.
Like what, after high school, what was the plan to be a personal trainer? And
No, I had no idea what I wanted to do. I always liked, to touch on like the videography stuff or wedding stuff, but I always liked making videos growing up, but it was always just like, oh, I'm filming, I'm 12 or something, I'm filming like 2 action figures just like punching each other like, garbage. And
could have been a YouTube star if,
right, I know.
different era.
Yeah, but that was ever super strong in my mind because my only like silly reference I had in my head was like, oh, you like to do video editing, like you either are a director or you don't do anything, which was so silly. I was thinking like, I didn't think it through very much, but I was just thinking, oh, like I could never do, video or editing stuff because you have to be a movie director in like Hollywood. There was no like in between. It was either you didn't do it or you like tried to be like, Steven Spielberg or something.
Right.
And then I fell into wedding videography. So yeah, after high school, went to Winona State. At the end of Winona, I did this amazing internship because I didn't know what I wanted to do at the end of school. I mean, the way I look at my schooling was I paid for all my friends, that I made. And, and
Those are the best kind of friends.
Yeah. But at the end of Winona, I got to do this really cool internship out in Lake Tahoe for the Tahoe City Public Utility District, where it was in their Parks and Rec department. So I worked at this like tiny little community center in the middle of these just massive sequoias, where we would just kind of hang out all day until like 2:30. These kids would come over for like 30 minutes. We'd play games, and it was like that was my internship. It was an amazing internship. I learned so much, but learned a lot of life versus just, maybe could have done a little more educating on how to program for like youth activities or something like that to make it more official or whatever. But just to be out there for 3 months, like the first week I got out there, it had 7 feet of snow. So all the power's out. I didn't know anyone. I'm living with this other intern from Southern California who didn't want to fall in love with me and also was kind of not fun. But so her and I had to like not evacuate, but we weren't even really able to connect with like the people that brought us out there for the internship. So like I drove out with Joel and my brother Jeff to Reno, and then we saw in the weather that it was supposed to be this huge storm coming in. So they smartly stayed in Reno with one of my friends that lived there and flew back. And I drove out like a 97 like Jeep Cherokee that was on its last leg that should not have been out there. But it kind of survived the trip. But yeah, so that first week was really crazy. We drove up to Chico, California, which was a few hours inland. Just this beautiful, and I'd never experienced California before, so my view of it was just like, LA or Hollywood type stuff. And literally, I didn't realize how beautiful the trees and how amazing Northern Cal was, and just so did a really amazing internship out there where I got to meet some really amazing guys. The guy that I worked underneath, the supervisor, was such a cool, definitely big man crush on him. Kurt was his name, Kurt Williams. Love you, man. He had this sweet Subaru Forester. He had a white German Shepherd, which I didn't even know was a thing. Mm-hmm. This big wolf-looking dog. And his whole spare bedroom in his apartment was just gear. He just had ropes and mountaineering stuff and just you name it, he had it. So what a cool opportunity as a Midwesterner to come out and get this amazing, the internship itself was very non-taxing. And then every weekend we were able to go out and just do, ice picking on these old train tunnels, or just a fun hike. He had this you guys heard of a split board snowboard? It's a snowboard that's it skis, but it splits in half, or it comes together. It does both. So you walk up you're going to go backcountry skiing. You put on these almost horsehair type skins on your skis, but it's your snowboard. And then you walk up, wherever you're going to go ski, and then you clip back into it and it comes together. So it's this really cool. He had one of those. Just a cool guy, and a really good spark for my love of the outdoors, and then also being a future Subaru owner.
What part of Colorado?
This was Tahoe.
Oh, okay.
This is still an internship. So I made some really good relationships out there. Came back, graduated from Winona. So this is in 2000. I went 5 because I'm super awesome. Mm-hmm. And so that was
Dr. Gilmer.
Yeah. So that was, you guys not talk at all? Is this just me talking the whole time? Oh,
you're doing great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
When you screw up, we'll start talking.
Sweet. Yeah. That sounds great. So,
all right, and we're going to talk about something else.
Yeah. So did that internship, had a great time. The beginning of that internship was so random. So I was in I don't even know how to explain the major. It's called commercial recreation and tourism. So in my mind, it was a little bit of programming, a little bit of service and travel industry stuff. But I don't know, not to judge the major. It didn't seem like it warranted its own major, something you don't need to go to school for to work in, that kind of thing, which I'm sure there's lots of jobs and people that have that experience. But yeah, I was set up to do this, I don't even know if you could call it an internship. There was this film festival in Winona. I'm oh, that could be cool to maybe help with this film festival as an internship. But I don't think the lady that I worked with had maybe done internships. I was I don't know, it didn't even feel like they had anything for me to do. So I was kind of getting anxious about, this choice I made for an internship. And then I had gone to a couple club volleyball practices at Winona, and the coach for the women's team was this super nice guy named Ethan. He's yeah, my friend Bethany from NDSU did this internship out in Lake Tahoe. You should check it out. I emailed them. They're oh yeah, sorry, we're full for the spring semester. And then they got back to me again, and they're hey, we're open. So, or we lost a person for our internship. So just that internship in itself was just super random, and then just amazing. But I got back from that. I graduated, and I went out to Maine and worked at a camp called Camp Laurel, Mount Vernon, Maine. And that was an unbelievable experience just in all the forms of life. I'm meeting all these people from all over the world that are working in different parts of the camp. The camp literally had anything you can think of that kids could do. It had it. It had equestrian. It had
fencing.
Good job. Did not.
Boy.
Yeah.
I guess the first one.
No, you're right. I don't think anyone's ever guessed something they didn't have. But they had seriously, they had theater. They had music. They had water sports. They had the fastest speedboats ever. They were on this big lake. All these kids are from New York and New Jersey and stuff, and just well mannered. Not really, but and then you're driving around this fun bus, they call it, this kind of big bus that I don't know if they even trained us to drive. And you're driving on these roads with no shoulder, and there's peacocks here and moose over here, and yeah, I only saw one of those the whole summer, but it could happen on the same day.
Could have, yeah.
But Maine was amazing, and I got to meet all these amazing people, and it wasn't as much, at least in my experience at that time in my life, I wasn't feeling like a great counselor as much as just like a fun guy that wants to meet new people. So if I could redo it, it would have been much more about, the kids and having them have a good experience than like me doing my job and then like hanging out for like our one day off where we'd go up to just up north Maine and find some river to cliff jump into or something. But super fun experience, and I still have like probably at least 5 to 10 friends that I try to keep up with that live in like Chicago to Arizona to San Francisco, and it was just a great mixing pot of people. And yeah, it flew by. It was so fast. It was kind of intensive. We only had like one day off the whole week, and the rest of the week you're kind of just with the kids all the time, which is fun. And then I was working specifically in the tripping staff, so we had this barn that we worked out of where we get all their stuff ready, like the cooler full of food, like life jackets for bringing canoes, and we take these kids on like overnight or like 2-day like camps and hikes, and I was really impressed with like the setup and the like trusting of like the staff members to bring these kids on these not wild adventures, but pretty cool little. I mean, these kids are like 10, 12,
right,
and they're sleeping overnight in a tent
and not complaining the whole entire time.
Yeah, and us counselors are sitting at the fire. Yeah, listening to some noise in the background. There's like 10 raccoons just like eating all our garbage. And
sure.
But yeah, so I did Maine that summer after, and then came back to Buffalo. This would have been 2017. Not with much planned out. I did the internship, which was fast and fun. I almost feel like the two things I did the 6 months before graduating was almost like a little bit of like, it was so fun and adventurous that I was almost not thinking about like my future. It was like 6 months of kind of just like, maybe being a little bit of flow of like having fun, but not like basically coming back to Buffalo after 3 months in Tahoe, 3 months in Maine, going like, oh shoot, like I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Life is about to begin, so get your fun in here.
And like I just started dating a girl, and I'd really never been in a relationship, and that flopped. No, that went pretty good for a while, and then
until it didn't.
So I started working in the middle school as like a para and coaching. So that was kind of like what I was doing as I was getting things figured out. And then, like I think that winter, my ex-girlfriend and I started doing wedding videos together. She had a neighbor. She lived in like north of Minneapolis, but she had a neighbor that.
It's northern Minneapolis.
Well, I think Shoreview. I was trying not to name drop, but you can't figure out who it is. By saying we're hometown. So we started doing it together, but we just use like iPhones, and the first time you do your podcast or the first time you do a video, it's like you're using whatever you got,
Yeah.
So that was in Sanibel, I think, Florida. So I had a drone, fortunately. So I got my drone, I think, before Maine, or no, I got it out in Tahoe. It was like the biggest probably purchase I ever made. Like I went to Amazon and bought a drone. So I had some drone footage of Tahoe, which was really fun. But so we started that in that winter of like 2017. And then I think we dated for about a year and probably did like 5 or 6 weddings together. And then I think like 3 or 4 in, we bought our own cameras and got some equipment and started to kind of feel more rhythm with it. But man, talk about like a hard way to develop a business and a relationship when you have kind of like the stress of working together with someone, especially when you've only been dating them for, 3 or 4 months, whatever. So yeah, so before I went, is this a relationship podcast or about business?
Oh, this is great.
Oh, we're going out. Yeah,
this is thrown out the window like minute 3 when you started talking about internships and stuff like that. So
sorry.
No, it's all good.
No,
Keep going.
So it was just a challenge. Like I'm sure for anyone would be to like work with like your girlfriend or wife or something, because the day of is pretty stressful, and then there's always the post edit of like, well, you can get it done as fast as you want, or you could put it off for 2 weeks, or with projects like that where it's like you're your own schedule maker. So yeah, so got lots of good experience doing the weddings. Her and I parted ways, and I was I thought like I don't know if I want to keep doing this. Like, is it totally associated with this person in my past? But quickly after, you realize like it doesn't, because time heals all wounds, and you're so focused on that next wedding that it's hard to be thinking like, oh, I used to do this with my ex-girlfriend, I can't do this anymore. But so I kept doing that, and then I moved to Boulder, like 2018. This is the best I've ever told my life story. So, thanks, Luke. But moved to Boulder on a whim, kind of a little bit, just basically just sitting in my parents' basement that winter after like a breakup and doing the wedding stuff and trying to think like I just need a fresh start, And so my dad and I drove out to Crested Butte first off, we have some family friends out there, but we drove out to Colorado and I moved there like February of 2018, just with random people off Facebook or like Craigslist and.
Seems sketchy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It seems like it's unfair for maybe guys versus girls because maybe as a guy you can go into it a little bit less concerned about like your physical safety with other people versus like if you're like a little lady, you got to be much more, in tune with the vibes you're getting with people you don't know. And so I moved in with some guys that were all in grad school. So I'm like still like a year off of college and these guys are all like going for their, would it be PhD if you're in grad school? No, could be.
I made it like through a year and maybe a quarter of college, so I don't know.
Well, so
you're asking the wrong guys.
Yeah, cool. I'll just keep talking.
Yeah, it's a PhD, of course.
Yeah,
everybody knows that.
We were just in completely different life circumstances. Like they're all studying, and I'm like, oh, a brand new city. Like I want to go explore and meet people, and so I lived with those guys for a few months, and lived with some ladies for like part of the time. Got a job at the gym, but not as a trainer. It was like just at their cafe. And yeah, one of the first things, this is a little tangent, but have you guys moved around at all in different times in your life?
I've had 3 houses in Buffalo, and I went to Moorhead. So
well, I was just going to touch on just like when you move to a new place, I feel like there's just little kind of like subtle things that happen where you feel the shift of like, oh, I could feel like I could live here, And it's like, of course, like getting a job would be a huge one, or like a place to live, like duh. But just being able to play basketball at the health club or at the gym with like a bunch of guys in like 40s, 50s, like I remember thinking like, oh, cool, like I have a Tuesday and Thursday planned for 10 a.m., so far in my move to Boulder, and then you're just trying to like knock out the rest of the week. But yeah, I got a job at the gym, working in the cafe, and then working at a Mexican restaurant called Centro in Boulder, which was really cool. Just a really fun restaurant just right in the downtown where we got lots of traffic in the summer. So just had a fast and furious fun summer. I when I moved out there as well, I had like the 4 or 5 weddings I'd done with my ex-girlfriend, so I had a little bit of experience. And I got lucky. I found this random guy in Denver named Chris. I think his company is called Majestic Films, but with like a K, Majestic.
Oh, sure.
Congested?
Congested Films. So I started doing second shooting for him. So I moved to Boulder, and I find this guy in Denver who needed help, and I was able to go to like Vail and like Telluride and all these beautiful cities or like little towns in Colorado. Just feeling I wasn't like uncomfortable. You're just like I'm not supposed to be here. Like we're in a log cabin. That's not a cabin. It's like a venue that's just on the side of a mountain where you feel like you're in a James Bond movie, like with a glass window underneath like a sunsetted like mountain range with just. I mean, I don't know if they're millionaire weddings, but they sure seemed like nice weddings. So
sure.
Got to do that. So like that summer of 2018 in Boulder, I just worked at a restaurant. I met some new friends, did some camping and traveling, met some really cool people. Like 2 of my friends, one friend, Caleb, he's still there. He's going to school. He's almost 30. He'd been to Afghanistan. He's from South Carolina. Just a really cool guy that really opened up my mind. Met him playing basketball. He couldn't guard me, so we had to be friends. So me and Caleb became friends, and I'd say like my friend Caleb and this other friend I made, Levi, were just like 2 impacting that I still talk to. Like I talk to Caleb like almost every day, and like he's super into spirituality and health and fitness. Just a really cool guy that kind of felt like maybe some version of me that's 5 years down the road or something with a lot of like development and work. And so yeah, I made some really cool friends. Other friend Levi made like he's doing work for like National Geographic, and he's like tied in with like Sea Legacy, like the ocean conservation thing through like National Geographic. And just like once you move around a little bit, it's just like the world becomes so small, especially in a cool city where there's people that are not more interesting or anything, but just like trying different stuff than you might know about. And so just so fun to, and then yeah, just so fun to meet a few like long lasting friends. And then the fall came around in Boulder, and the restaurant was slowing down a little bit. I didn't really have a bunch of weddings lined up, And I was getting a little homesick. I was like, dang it, I damn miss my family, which I'll never admit unless we're doing like something live, you know?
Right, yeah.
So I moved back and then COVID happened right after that, and I had no plan for that. So I
You
think-
didn't?
No. My like
You got to plan for stuff, man.
yeah.
I believe that's an advanced PhD for
Yeah.
getting prepared for that global pandemic.
Cool, yeah.
But my reflection on that, stretch of time was like whatever trauma you had in your life, small or large, like just was in an equation multiplied by COVID, multiplied by 2 years, multiplied by whatever else was going on. So, I don't know your guys' experiences, but I guess as a non-father, as someone that didn't have like a job, totally I moved back, so I was looking for new work. That's when I started at the gym later on, when things kind of slightly opened.
Like when
Kind of full circle now.
Yeah, we're back, I guess. So maybe it's different as like whatever you had going on. It was just not fun for anyone.
Right.
And just to finally get through, at least in my experience, like I had made a poor choice with some drugs before COVID started and just felt like maybe I'd screw myself up a little bit. So then I had just all of COVID to just think about, past mistakes or whatever. But I was very blessed and fortunate to feel like I got, back to who I was this summer. And I found it through volleyball. The joy of playing volleyball got me so, just to see yourself get better at something, something new. I'm a solid, b-ball guy, but you peak out, maybe 23, you start working out, you get a little stronger, maybe a little more athletic, you're more confident, and then you play your sport and you have fun, but you got as good as you got early 20s maybe for something you did as a youth.
Yeah.
And so I never really got into volleyball till the last couple of years, just playing with Joel and some other family friends, and then this summer, I was like, man, those guys on the number one league just are such studs. They get every ball up. Every pass they make is just perfectly soft. They're just hustling. They're aggressive. They're just cool dudes. And I'm like, man, all right. I went over and I met every single person that played in the top level. And I didn't know any of them. I was like, hi, puppy dog. I'm like, hi, I'm Dom. I want to get better at volleyball. And they were so cool. It's just you really, once you put yourself out there 9 times out of 10, unless someone has something going on, you can't take that personal. So I met all these people, and volleyball is one of those first things that brought joy back to my life. So I'm like, I'm sticking with this. So I bought a ball, started playing 3 days a week with other people, and then the summer outdoor sand stuff finished, and kept practicing every day, and then started playing winter or indoor stuff with some friends, and just so fun to get better at new stuff. And then I got to go to San Diego this last week and to play sand volleyball on the beach with real, Californian, ballers. Was just the coolest thing ever for me. It was fun.
Cool. As we wrap up here, we got another interview coming in.
Yeah.
I do want to touch very briefly with the time we have left on a podcast that you're working on and kind of spread the word on that. So why don't you take a couple minutes?
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just kind of to touch on the summer and feeling kind of myself again with post-COVID and routines coming back in and work. And I was just, the last couple of months, I'd found so much joy and excitement with just one-on-one chats with daily strangers, almost to the point where I was talking to everyone all day, and I was like, okay, I need to just pick 3 people and talk to them and then go home and rest. But I was feeling so much internal connection with some of these people. I'm and I just started kind of saying whatever I thought all the time to people, because I'm well, if I believe it's true and I'm honest, I can say anything, and then you get in trouble sometimes. So anyways,
That shirt is ugly.
Yeah. I was my dad used to do wedding photography, so we have this space in the front of our barn, this old studio that was just full of storage and his old negatives and stuff. So I just cleaned her out totally, put some couches in there, got some lights. Just, it looks like a man cave, but the goal is, your office is your office in your podcast studio. It's a man cave / podcast studio. And I love talking to people, and I love asking questions that are off the, not off the wall, but just not your normal type stuff. And I'm not too afraid of screwing up or asking a silly question, because how do you learn anything besides?
Right.
So yeah, I want to start this podcast before the new year. I'm thinking something called Soul Finder or Soul Discovery or something just about one-on-one convos with people about like the stuff they're into. Like no, like a fitness category, like a videography or like a health, nutrition thing. Just like, with you and I, we talk about insurance. People would fall asleep.
Oh, gosh,
and
yeah.
we'd say, cool, podcast over.
Right, right.
No, so yeah, I want to start that before the new year, and then just trying to still book wedding. I do videography as well I shared that. So just trying to book some more weddings and start the podcast, and then move to San Diego.
There you go.
We'll see.
Awesome. Tyler, anything that,
Well, we're already into 2022 right now, so.
Yes.
If it's launched already, we're gonna have a link.
Oh, heck
right
yeah.
there for the
Perfect.
downloads.
Now you
Go
got a
and
deadline.
listen to
You got
it.
it.
So that's kind of what we did. That's how we got started.
Yeah.
I said, Mark, get in here. We're gonna film a promo, and said, hey, it's coming,
right,
and then it just followed through.
yeah.
And
It's like,
it
well, what
did
if it's not very good? Well,
Probably won't be.
probably won't be.
Still isn't after 90 episodes. So
That's really nice to hear, though, like, all jokes aside, because, like, you just want it to be perfect for the first one. It's like, that's
Yeah.
not how it works. And
Yep.
if you
Yeah.
don't, like, allow yourself to learn through it, like, how are you going to get good or how are you going to start? So, like, for me, like, I just need to start. I need to find some help, and I need to just go for it.
Awesome.
thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dom. Appreciate it.
For the Buffalo Community Podcast, I'm Tyler Reese.
I'm Mark Benzer.
And I'm Dom Gilmer.